Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we dive back into the Parallel Universe version 2 with, I accidentally bought 2 of them, I'm sorry. We're gonna unbox both of them and we'll see which one we want to review. But this is one of my least favorite out of the new offerings, but the more and more I looked at photos, the more I realized this is actually the blending of a Les Paul and a Stratocaster, but with maybe a little bit more Stratocaster. But it looks like we're getting the mint green case with this one. But if you're not familiar with this whole Parallel Universe version 2, essentially, what they do in this series is they blend models together. Sometimes, you know, it's Fender and Fender, like with the Jazz Strat that we reviewed from this series. And other times it's like Fender and Gibson, which is kind of what we got today. Or like check out the original Troublemaker Tellys. But let's go ahead and grab my first impressions of this weird little Stratocaster. Huh. Okay. Still not 100% digging the vibe, but I'm kind of getting it a little bit more. This is actually blent a lot of different models. Right off the bat here, I'm loving this mahogany neck. That is looking fantastic on this, and I love the fact that they chose the small Stratocaster style headstock. And then they've done like some sort of a black grain fill. It kind of reminds me of like those dog hair finishes that Gibson has done occasionally, but it's such a clunky Stratocaster. Do you guys see that? So you got a little bit of Les Paul here with the mahogany neck. You got a little bit of Telecaster going on, honestly. Kind of the Cabronita style pick guard, but the Les Paul layout. And you could say that they borrowed this from the wide range Telecasters. But then you got a 2-point synchronized tremolo system from a Strat, but the clunky body of a Telecaster, but still with the arm contour of a Strat. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I like this or not. It's so bizarre. I think that's a great way to really sum up Parallel Universe version 2 guitars. A lot of people like to watch the videos about them, but not necessarily own the guitars. Because, let's face it, they are quite fascinating. This, like, it's kind of glossy, but at the same time, you can still just barely feel the wood grain. And I'm surprised we don't have the satin finish neck on here, but it's kind of more of like a semi-gloss. And you've actually got that slight cutaway right there. Yeah, so we'll have to check this thing out on the workbench, and I believe this is actually a mahogany body too. I'm surprised they didn't call this the Troublemaker Stratocaster. Maybe they'll do that for version 3, but I mean, it's got the layout, but they call this one the Uptown Strat. Which, it's kind of funny because Epiphone just released something that was called the Uptown this year as well. But that was the Uptown Cat. You could check out that video if you're interested in learning more about that. But I guess let's go ahead and open up this second one to see which one that I want to review and demo. Because I had actually asked this dealer to cancel this order, but it needed management approval. And apparently, management never said, okay, that's okay, you can cancel it. And that dealer did fully apologize for never officializing that and sent me a return label, but I don't think we'll need it. And plus, I always think it's kind of cool to compare 2 of the same models side by side because you might not dig the wood grain figuring of this one, but maybe this one will be completely different and will have some rings. Here's hoping for something special. Okay. That's a tough call. As far as the fingerboard and the neck goes, it's pretty much the same. I would say this one's a little bit more uniform in how you get all the grainage right here, but it does cut out a little bit right there, whereas this is a little bit more streaky. And the way that they shave that down makes it go sideways. I think I ultimately prefer this one because it's got a little bit more unique wood grain, but I mean, they're both pretty much passable. This one's got a nicer fretboard, but the more and more I look at this one, the more I think that's the nicer one. I'm not sure which one will be the reviewing demo piece. I'll see you guys on the workbench with the one that I choose, though. Inside the Uptown Strat, it really does bug me that they didn't call this the Troublemaker Stratocaster, but there's one element that makes this not the Troublemaker, and it's the bridge. This model probably would have got a lot more excitement had they had actually given this the Tune-o-matic bridge and the tailpiece. But maybe they decided to give this the synchronized tremolo 2-point system, just, you know, to give the Fender people more of a Fender guitar, even though everything else about this is to troublemaker specs. So starting off here, we have two humbuckers in here. They're calling them the double tap pickups. You can see this one's branded Fender, NK for neck, and this one right here, does it say BR? Yeah, just B for bridge. And as the name implies, double tap, meaning you can tap these. Now, I'm not sure if they're actually tapping or splitting, because tapping means you're reducing some of the coils, splitting means you're actually cutting one of the coils out. Either way, we should be able to get some single coil-esque tones as well as the humbucker tones. I wasn't actually expecting to have the push-pull pots on the tone pot, so that was a surprise when I took that back cover off and saw those. As far as the cavities go, they look pretty okay. But here you can see your barcode saying Uptown Strat. And just some additional barcodes in here. So you're pretty well stuck with two humbucker pickups in these. You don't have any additional routes or anything. But I finally figured out what this finish reminds me of. When you open up a pint of cookies and cream ice cream. And I think that's going to make some people fall in love with this guitar, because you just get the little cookie streaks in this guitar. It was certainly an interesting choice. Once again, you can kind of feel the wood grain on this. It's not like ever apparent, like if you just rub your hand on it like here, you can feel it a little bit. But if you really get your nail on it, you can see where the finish has absorbed into it. And that's because they actually used a premium nitro finish on these. So this is not the thick poly. This will age, this will check. Honestly, I don't know if this will look good once it ages yellow. It'll kind of look strange, but hey, who knows? In 20, 30 years, maybe we'll find out what they look like. But the official color is called Static White Lacquer. Just like on a Les Paul, you get neck controls here, volume and tone, and then bridge controls here, volume, tone. And your three-way toggle switch is up here. Now I'm a little bit sad that they didn't see my review of the original Troublemaker Telly and decide to switch this up, because they're using a really cheap looking three-way toggle switch here. And if the main reason for these is to kind of convert some Gibson players over to Fender style instruments, this is something they need to change. So this is the style of switch that Epiphone uses. And you can tell because it's a huge skirt and it mounts on top of the guitar, whereas the Gibson style ones actually mount flush with the guitar. Here you can see what I'm talking about. It's got less of a profile to it. And this is definitely a metric style switch tip, so I'm still let down on that, but hey, it's cool that we have it on the upper bout anyways. But oh my goodness, when I was reading the spec sheets and they told me there's a toggle switch plate that says Uptown Downtown in the case, it's like, yes, why is that not on the guitar already? Take a look at this thing. How cool is that? Uptown Downtown. It's a little bit cheesy, I get it. I get why they didn't put it on, but it's a pain in the butt to install these, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I guess one plus side to that mounting system is it was a lot easier to do that. And I really like the feature of the output jack being on the side. That's not something you normally get on a Strat, so that makes it a little bit special. So as far as our DC readings, our bridge pickup is 15.32. That's really hot. Then, oh wow, the neck pickup only 7.71, so they are quite different. With a middle position of 5.12-ish. Let's go ahead and check them out when we activate the fancy electronics. Okay, that makes me believe that these are actually true tapping pickups instead of splitting, because you're just reducing some of the coils. Notice it's not half as hot, it's about 25% less. The neck pickup goes from 7.71 down to 5. Interesting. So that tells you they're actually tapping, just as the name suggests. Cool, and as far as specs go, I was actually surprised to read this is just a complete slab of mahogany. This is actually one of the least expensive of this new series. It's only $19.99 brand new. Whereas a lot of these other ones can be as expensive as about $2,500, but that's where you're paying a little bit of a premium, because this is, you know, a pretty thick slab of mahogany right here, and it's all one piece. But as we saw in the unboxing, they still gave it the contour of the Strat arm, but this really does feel like a Telecaster when you play it, because there's no comfort carve on the back right here. And here's what it looks like without the pickguard. I almost think they could have got away without putting a pickguard on this at all. This looks very attractive to me. But stock from the factory, you do get this tortoiseshell pickguard, and it's 4-ply. I'm not a huge fan of how they stagger these, but I'm guessing they do that so you can easily get to the controls. Moving on here, we actually have quite a fancy neck here. But the big question is, what scale length do we have on this thing? Is it Troublemaker or is it regular? It's Troublemaker, the Gibson scale length, 24 3/4. Most Fenders are around 25.5 for their big flagship models anyways. And they went with modern fret wire, 22 medium jumbos, just as Gibson does. They went with the 9.5-inch fretboard radius, so not vintage, not the same 12-inch radius that Gibson uses, but you know, somewhere in the middle there. And we get these small block inlays that are pearloid materials. It would have been nice to see mother of pearl. Or maybe they could have found a way to spec them like they did with his body. That would have been cool. Let's go ahead and grab these neck dimensions. Our bone nut width is 1.69 inches. That increases to 2.04 by the 12th. First fret neck depth, 0.86. That increases to 0.89 by the 12th, so a rather thin feeling neck. They call this a 60s C-shaped neck. So if you like thin necks, I think you'll be right at home on this one. And I'm digging this headstock. They just used their classic gear tuners. So they're the style that wraps around the post instead of going inside, not like the vintage ones. You've got your truss rod access up here, so it's easy to get to. A single string tree, and just says Fender Stratocaster up here, and you can see through to that mahogany wood grain. I really like that. I think that looks classy. All right, now I got the strings back on it. So the reason why I decided to tear apart this particular one is simply because it wasn't the nicest playing guitar. The other one felt great out of the box. This one, not quite as much. But at the same time, the more heavy grainage I thought helped show off this finish better. And I wanted to see if I could make it play any better with just, you know, a few minor tweaks here, rewrap the strings properly, clean that fretboard, which it seriously needed. I'm happy to say now it actually feels and plays much better. So I think we will just continue the review and demo with this guy. But the backside is where this thing just, you know, it starts to look too cluttered. I'm not a big fan of this. You got a route here, you got a big route here, and you got a big oblong route right there. It really starts to make this guitar look a little bit trashy. But you know, in order to do this and not have a bunch of routes and stuff here, you have to kind of muddy up the back. But here's the inside control cavity. Once again, you can see your push-pull pots right there. I'm not seeing a particular brand on any of these pots, but they are full-sized. Kind of strange to see that this does not have any finish at all. And the backplate does have shielding on it, as does the one for the toggle switch. As far as the tremolo system, stock from the factory, you get 3 black springs, and yes, a magnet does attach to this. On the side, we can see our output jack. It's the barrel style, and then you get 2 Strat buttons, one at the bottom, one up here on the top horn. And then you get the asymmetrical heel carve, once again for higher fret access. And, you know, it's still kind of a letdown that they didn't do Parallel Universe, like, 2. There's definitely enough room right there that they could have inscribed it, but here is your serial number right on the neck plate. And unfortunately, they never tell us how many of these that they make. If I were to guess, I would assume it's probably around 500 or so. Or if there's more demand for a particular model, they'll just make it until, you know, there's no more demand for it. But the back of this neck, it's mahogany. It feels like a semi-gloss to me, but a little bit more on the glossy side. And I think that comes down to them using the nitro finish instead of the thick poly that I'm used to on these. So this neck actually feels quite comfortable to me. It's enjoyable. And the back of the headstock, once again, just your Fender branded tuners. No serializations or anything here. And this bar is the pop-in variety, not the screw-in, and you've got the individual saddles for each string. After a complete teardown and reassembly of this thing, I really didn't see anything that I would classify as, you know, bad quality control. I mean, your neck pocket's good on this one. The finish appears to be the way that it's supposed to be. The cavity routes, they were pretty clean. Everything appears to work, so it gets a passing grade for that. So if you dig the way that this thing looks, definitely check it out. But let's go ahead and grab our weight before we go ahead and plug this thing in. Kind of chunky for a Stratocaster, 8 pounds, 2.8 ounces. All right, let's go ahead and plug it in. Now that we know all about the Uptown Strat, what are my final thoughts and opinions on this thing? I honestly just picked this up for the sake of documenting one of each of these new Parallel Universe version 2 guitars. I am not super attracted to this guitar by any means. I think aesthetically, it's just not very pleasing to me. But my gosh, I am so happy, so grateful that I got this because these pickups are killer. And I've had quite a few of these, wide range looking-esque humbuckers from Fender. A lot of them are deep and muddy sounding and not there. They got it right with these. These are fantastic mid-rangey pickups. Now, if you're looking for something super bright or super dark, maybe not for you, but maybe it's the combination of the mahogany body, the mahogany neck, not the normal woods that you use on a Strat. In combination with this, it just has this perfect mid-rangey Les Paul-esque vibe to it. And when you engage the coil tap, instead of making it like a single coil sound, it just brightens it up just a hair and adds some chiminess to it. So the whole tonal spectrum of this guitar is just perfect for me. So if you're looking to get some more mellow-esque tones out of a guitar, go for this one. I had a great time. I just wish I knew what to play on it. All I knew is I didn't want to stop playing this thing. I mean, it's that comfortable too. It's got that 60s C-neck shape. It's very slim but comfortable. The binding, it just seems to work on this. The block inlays makes it look a little bit fancier. I wish they would have went with black plastics though, because I feel they're accenting the wrong color. They're accenting this creaminess, Hershey's cookies and cream vibe here, where they should be accenting the black pore fillers. So if you put black plastics on this thing, I think it would look awesome, especially if you did like some speed knobs. Pretty much the only complaint I have about this thing is tuning stability. I wish so badly that this would have been a tune-o-matic and a stop bar, because that's what I'm used to. I don't really have much of a use for this trem, because I had to constantly tweak this thing. Not a lot, we're just talking a couple of cents here and there, but it was definitely not 100% perfect from the factory. The only other thing that I would complain about is this comfort cut really doesn't do much, because normally a Stratocaster starts to round off here, so it makes it comfortable to play. But it's just barely there for me. And it's so strange not having this comfort cut back here. It's kind of like a prototype Stratocaster in feel before they added all that comfort stuff. And this layout makes no sense to me, because if you have your bar in here, it's like totally in your way if you're trying to get here. So you gotta manually go over top of it. So it's just something to be aware of. So I mean, if that's the only bad thing I can say about all this, I mean, I think they created a solid guitar. It might not be the prettiest, but seriously, try one of these things out if you're looking for mellow tones. This is killer. But before we say goodbye, let's check it out under Blacklight. Not too much going on here. It is a nitro finish, so this will glow a brighter green the more sunlight it absorbs and as it ages. But nothing too crazy on this one, unlike that Thayer from yesterday. That was a crazy guitar. But yeah, a very nice new addition from Fender. Wasn't expecting anything from this, but I had a great time. Thank you, Troglodytes, for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.